Let's get it done. Medium hot coffee on Monday from every Noma. Join on the app today. America runs on Dunkin'.
What is our like theme?
What's our theme?
Theme for the class today. Yesterday was intros.
Yeah, yesterday was intro. That's it.
All right. I'm gonna give everybody another couple minutes to get started here. I know.
How you doing today, man?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you today, Ryan?
I'm great. I can't complain, man.
Good, man. Good. It's on my screen. There we go. Okay. I think there's somebody else. But I think we're okay. Boom there. Oops. I want that full screen. All right. So, first off, I want to introduce myself to you guys. My name is Drew. I'm a GA with us here. I'm with Josh on his team there. I've been with Ami for the last 5 years. I started in Pittsburgh with him as well. Then I got an opportunity to move out to Philly and help open up the office with Casey out in Philly. So you guys met Casey before. I lived with Casey for about a year and a half out in Philly. Then we got a great opportunity to come out here to Chicago and open up our new office. So I jumped on that, right? I'm going to be running training class for you here today, and then I have another training class again for you next week on Wednesday. I'll be running that too. But today what we're going to do is we're going to go over all of the no cost benefits. So more or less today, it's not going to be role play. We're not going to role play much today. All we're really going to do is use this to build your knowledge on all the no cost benefits and show you how to go over them with everybody and that type of thing. Okay. The first thing I want you guys to realize is there's no money in no cost. You're not going to make any money just by going to drop off no cost child safety kits to people, right? The real money is life insurance, getting them to enroll into the additional benefits, right? The main reason why we're doing it though is because we're building up the company, right? We're giving them extras and showing them that there's extra stuff involved with our programs that they get access to, right? And the first thing that somebody buys about you in the presentation is they buy you, right? Then they buy the company. That's another hard sell, selling your company, right? All these no cost benefits help you sell the company and sell why we're doing this, right? Now, other thing I want you guys to realize right off the bat, there's no set formula to go over every single one of the no cost benefits in every presentation. You're not going to do every no cost benefit in every presentation. You're going to tailor it to the presentation you're doing. All right. So what that means is if you're doing a union presentation, right, they'll probably go over child safety kits, AIL plus card, family information guide, their accidental death and dismemberment certificate, right? There's no will kit in there, right? And if you're doing the will kit, there's no accidental death and dismemberment certificate, right? Or if you're doing child safe, there's no AD&D or no will kit, right? So customize the no cost benefits to the people you're sitting down with. An easy way to do this is by building rapport with them. When you're building rapport with them, you'll realize, oh, this is more important to them because they have a family. Let's go over this for sure, right? But once you guys are good at explaining the benefits to them, you'll be able to kind of pick and choose which ones you're going to go over with them in the presentation, right? Now, there's two that I go over every single time, no matter what, and it's usually the AIL Plus card and the family information guide. Those are the two that I go over every single time, right? Now, I usually always go over the child safety kit as well, because you just never know, right? But there's going to be, and I want you guys to write this down, there's going to be 3 things that you're going to do with every single one of the no-cost benefits, right? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to explain why the benefit's important, right? Introduce the benefit. Why is it important to them? Why are you going over this with them, right? The second thing you're going to do with every no-cost benefit is you're going to walk them through how it works, right? So answer their questions about it. Make it personal to them, right? And then the third thing you're going to do with every one of the no-cost benefits is you're going to collect referrals, right? It's one of the main reasons why we go over the no-cost benefits is to collect referrals, to go out to go see more people, right? There's a reason why the leads are designed. Main reason why they're designed is for you to go see other people off those, right? And I know you guys have been in referral sales. They're easy. They're super easy. Referrals are the way to go in this business. There's 2 cheat codes. I don't know if anyone plays video games here, but I'm sure you know what cheat codes are, right? There's 2 cheat codes to this business. First cheat code is referrals. It's going to make you run faster. It'll make you get through those presentations quicker, right? The other cheat code is recruiting. It's going to make you jump higher, right? You bring more people with you. Those are seriously the only 2 cheat codes in this business. Everything else you got to do it the long way, right? But those 2 will help you speed up the process, right? So with the no cost benefits, I'm going to kind of show you guys on the slideshow so you guys can see it virtually here, and then I'm going to pop it up on the screen behind me here. Okay. I'm sure that's popped up. Okay, good. Okay. So the first no cost benefits, the reason I do them in this order is because it goes from almost like least intrusive information to most intrusive, right? Or it gets them to talk about their family, and then it shifts them into talking about life insurance, right? So there's a rhyme and reason why I go over it in a certain way that I do it, right? You guys might go over it a little bit different. Your presentation might be a little bit different. I'm not too concerned about the order. I'm concerned about what you're doing in the no cost benefit, right? So let me just turn this a little bit so I can see you guys here. So the first no cost benefit that they had set up for you, that has to be the verbiage every time you introduce a benefit. The first no cost benefit they set up for you, right? It's not a thing. Right? I have people say first thing that they had set up for you, that's a benefit, right? And not the first benefit I'm going to go over with you. First benefit that they had set up for you. Right? I want you guys to use the word they a lot. Put it on the system. Put it on them. Who's they? Doesn't matter who they is. They is the union. They is your referral, right? Doesn't matter who they is. They're never going to ask you who they is, right? Just know that you're taking the pressure off of you and putting it onto them. I'm not asking you for this. They are asking you to do this, right? So the first no cost benefit that I usually go over every single time, and why is this not popping up? Sorry, technical difficulties here. Why is this not popping up? It's not letting me show this. There we go. Maybe it will now. There we go. Okay. So did that pop on is that full screen for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first no cost benefit that they set up for you guys was your child safety kits, right? Once again, first thing we're going to do is we're going to explain why this is important to them. Easiest way to make parents understand why this is important, hit them with facts right off the bat, right? So why the child safety kit was designed is because just alone last year, 450,000 children went missing or got abducted, all right? Illinois is top 10. State where we all live at right now is top 10, right? And the real fact of the matter is why this was designed is it takes the sharpest parent or grandparent 4 to 6 hours to give the police everything they need in this kit. Because think about it. If something happens, you're not thinking height, weight, eye color, hair color. You're thinking, oh my God, where is my kid? Who are they with? Where could they be at? Right? They're panicking. And I don't know if anybody on this call is a parent or not, but if you are, use your examples here. Like they're going to sell. If you're a parent, let them know. I mean, I'm sure if you're a parent, you've been with your kid before and you went to go pay for something, reached down in your wallet, took your card out, gave your card to the guy at the grocery store. He swiped your card, you put it back, and as soon as you put it back, you notice your kid wasn't there anymore. That took 30 seconds to do that, and the kid's gone. That's all it takes, right? Now, you probably found that kid about 5 minutes later running around the store, right? But that 5 minutes felt like probably like 5 hours, right? I know I'm guilty of this. My mom raised 5 boys, right? I remember walking in the grocery store with my brothers and having us all hold on to the cart, right? My mom used to give us the same speech every single time. I'm not buying nothing. Don't look at nothing. Don't put nothing in the cart. I can remember the speech she gave us, and we still wandered off, right? It's what kids do. So the great part about this kit is it's designed for that. If something happens, all you have to do is give it to the authorities, and it'll help that get started really quickly, right? So some of the facts you want to use, number 1, 450,000 children went missing or abducted last year. Number 2, of those kids, if they don't come home in the first 24 hours, 90% of the time they don't come home at all. That's crazy, right? And then the other big stat is it takes 4 to 6 hours for the sharpest parent or grandparent to give the police everything that's involved in this kit, right? So I explained the first part was making it important to them. Now, if they have kids, they're going to be like, yeah, this is great. If they don't have kids, they might be like, I don't really need this, right? Read the room at that point. If they have like grandkids, nieces, nephews, things like that, then mention those, right? But if you're really sitting down with somebody who's like a single person, don't have kids, they don't really care about this, just fly through it. Don't spend a lot of time on it. But if they have kids, you should know if they have kids or not right in building the report. Even get the kids' names in the report, right? If you don't have the kid's name, that's the first question I want you to ask them here, right? So I would say, Mary and Joe, this is your child safety kit, right? Which one of your kids' names, for example? Right, and they'll tell me, Steve. Okay, great. So what you're going to do is where it says child's name here, you're going to put Steve in there, right? And then on the bottom where it says completed on, you'll put that time and date, all right? So the way the child safety kit works is, guys, it looks like this. I don't know if you guys can see me on the screen here, right? It's in a little plastic bag, right? And it folds open. It looks exactly like it does on the screen. The exact same wording, exact same everything. Just a visual representation of it. Folds open, looks the exact same way, right? So I usually just walk them through how it works. I mean, this is pretty simple. The first page on the inside is number 1, personal information for the child, right? Anything, I let them know here, anything that's gonna, change down the road, like the height, the weight, the eye color, hair color, put that in pencil so they can erase it and change it. Anything that's going to stay the same, like the date of birth, the child's name, the address, blood type, medications, that type of thing, put that in pen. That way you don't have to keep scratching it out every time. Now, number 2 would be a physical description of Steve, right? Use the kid's name over and over and over. Make it real to them, right? That's why I want you to get the kid's name. Use the kid's name, right? So Steve, anything that makes Steve unique. Glasses, braces, scars, birthmarks, anything like that, you're going to mark it on a little character under number 2, and then you're going to write a little description on the words there too. All right. Number 3 is a DNA sample. So what the police do not want is spit or blood there, because that's gross. Okay. Doesn't hold up very long either. Spit will dry up in about 2 hours, and so will blood. All right. DNA sample, what they want there is a hair follicle or fingernails. Okay. So I always get the parents to laugh here by saying, just get a little chuckle out of the parents and say, so Steve's never bad, right? Steve's never bad around you guys. And they're like, oh my God, yeah, he's never bad. And they'll give me some kind of sarcastic answer. I'm like, okay, he's probably bad about twice a year, right? And they're like, yeah, probably about like that. I'm like, okay, well, you can use that opportunity to get some DNA from Steve. So next time Steve's being bad, instead of grabbing his whole head of hair, right, just pluck 1 or 2 hairs out, and then you could tape it down there for that DNA sample, right? The hair could not be cut. It has to be pulled from the root, right? Some parents will ask you, could I just get it from his brush? No, because I don't know how long that hair's been on that brush, if it has a little DNA strand at the bottom or not. Safest way to do it is just pluck 2 or 3 hairs from the head, right? Or fingernails. Guys, your fingernails have DNA in them too. All your dead skin goes up under there. Great source of DNA. So you'll meet some people who have very short hair, like your hair. Probably pretty hard to pull your hair out, right? Yeah. Right? So you would have to use fingernails in your situation. Right? It's the main reason why when I was a kid, I had short hair like you, because my mom would discipline us and she would pull my hair. She'd grab onto your hair. Right? So all of me and my brothers, we got smart and we cut our hair really short. But my mom was way smarter, and she used to just pull our ear instead. She found a way around it, right? So I just have the parents get them entertained here a little bit. Let them know, hey, the best way to do this is just yank some hair out of your kid's head. Next time they're being bad, instead of grabbing that whole head of hair, right, just pluck 1 or 2 out, tape it down there. Now, I do suggest them here, what they use is like a little plastic bag instead of tape, because if you tape something down, it's probably going to rip it up coming back and forth. It's a little harder for the police to use that DNA if it's taped down to something. So what I tell them to do is get like a little plastic bag. So I'm sure you guys have all bought like suits or new dress shirt or something like that. That always comes with a little bag attached to it and has like a little extra button in it. use that. It's perfect. People have them lying around all over the house, right? So that's usually the best thing for the DNA sample is that actual little bag, right? Now, number 4 down here is the fingerprint information. So each one of these kits comes with a police grade ink strip. You guys can see that? All right. This ink strip is non-toxic. It'll never harm the kids. They could lick this if they wanted to, right? But it is extremely messy. All right. Let your families know this is a messy, messy part of this, right? Because this is permanent on surfaces like tables, walls, furniture, clothing. It will come off your skin because there's oil in your skin. This will not come off the table though, okay? So I tell them, I say, do this either before bath time or outside on the porch or something like that so that they don't get the whole house messy. I don't want to call for you guys in 3 weeks saying, Drew, we did the child safety kits. Now we got fingerprints all over the wall. You got to come back and paint. Don't think so, right? So just let them know off the top that this is a very messy part, but all it does really quick, if you can see it, there's like a little clear part on the top of it. If you just like pull the clear part down, it'll let me do it. You'll be able to pop open the actual ink strip. It opens right up, just like that. And all they have to do is touch each finger on the ink strip and touch it on the corresponding spot. They don't have to like roll their finger. They don't have to press really hard. The harder they press, the more ink they're going to get on there and the blotchier it's going to be. So just a quick little touch, right? They can even practice this before. Like if they want to do like practice, tell them to get a white piece of paper, use the ink strip, touch each finger on it, and then use the ink strip again and touch each finger on it. All right, it's pretty quick. It is kind of foolproof, to be honest with you guys, but you still want to explain those little things to people, making sure they understand it's permanent, so the kids aren't walking around with ink all over their house, and the fact that they need to pull the hair out of the DNA, right? And I ask them, do you have any questions on the inside of the kit, how it works? And they'll say no. I say, okay, great. And then I flip back to the other screen and show them the back part of it again. So number 5. So I just go in order from 1 to 5, basically. Number 5 would be a photo of the child. So I'm sure you have a million photos of Steve lying around the house, right? You're going to have a million more down the road. All you have to do is cut one out every 6 to 8 months and tape it down there, right? I'm sure they have parents, you know, that's what I use. I tell them, I'm sure you got a million photos of your kids lying around. Just tape one out or cut one out and tape it down every 6 to 8 months. School photos usually work the best for this because they're number 1 in HD and it's just the kid. Police don't want to see like a group shot of 10 people in there. They don't know who they're looking for. They just want one headshot of the child, right? Pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory there. And then depending on the age of the kids, I go over the important information for parents in the middle there, all right? So the one I usually go over with them every single time is number 3. So number 3 is do not place your child's name on any personal items, right? Got to think about this one. I know my parents are probably guilty of it too, you know, back in the 90s when they were raising me, right? So what they don't want, and this kind of coincides with what teachers want, because teachers have 30 kids and they got to keep all their kids' stuff organized. So they make them write their kids' names on the back of their backpack or their jacket or something like that. It's not the greatest thing to do because let's say that kid leaves school and he's walking to go to the bus or something like that. And someone sees the name Jack on the back of his backpack. And they say, hey, Jack, come over here, Jack. Your mom wanted me to pick you up from school so you don't have to ride the school bus. Come on, hop in the van. I'll take you home. That's all it takes. Especially if you're like, oh, I got puppies or I got some candy or toys in the van for you. They're like, toys? Oh, my God. And they run right over to it. Only because they knew that kid's name. And if you really think about it, the first thing that parents usually teach their kids how to write and how to say is their name. So the kids know what their name is, you know, so they're just going to go at that point. Kids are very, very gullible, especially from like 3 to 10, super gullible. They believe anything. So all it's going to take is some weird creeper in a van pulling up in front of a school saying, hey, you know, your mom told me to come pick you up from school today. Come on in the van. And then they never see that kid again. All because of the name on the backpack. right? So what I suggest is having them put either that colored sticker, tape, or initials, right? So it may seem like a very small thing, but at the end of the day, that's what people are using to kidnap kids, right? So that's one thing I tell people almost every single time. Try not to put your kids' names on the backpack or any kind of like jacket or lunchbox or anything like that, okay? So, and then I kind of just go through 1 through 5 for them real quick, like teaching the kids how to call 911, teach them about stranger danger. If you guys ever get separated in a big public place, teaching them to where, you know, the video cameras are, it's a good thing. You know, as soon as, like, I was always told when I was a kid, like, if you go into a store, make sure, like, my mom used to point out the video camera, like, if you ever get lost, come stand right here. Someone will come get you. You know, it's a good thing to do, right? I mean, it still even works to this day. Like, I have a mentally challenged uncle who's in his 60s, same way. Anytime I ever go anywhere with him, as soon as we walk in the store, I'm like, hey, see that video camera? You stand right here if we ever get separated, right? Never thought I would ever have to use it before, but we were at PNC Park. It's the baseball field in Pittsburgh, and we had like a rain delay. So I get up and I go to the bathroom, and I'm like, here, stay here. I come back and he's not there. I'm like, oh my God, where the hell is he at? He doesn't have a cell phone, right? So I'm like, oh my God, where the hell is he at? Luckily, as soon as we walked into the stadium, I told him, hey, if we get separated, come here. Guess where he was at? Right there, right? Security guard found him, told me about him. We were reunited within 10 minutes, you know? But that's my uncle. He's a grown man, mentally challenged, but he can handle himself. No one's going to steal him. But still, I still felt like that was like 5 hours of searching for him, right? I can only imagine if that was a kid. Now, I don't have any kids myself. I have 5 brothers, and I have 6 nieces and 1 nephew. So I do have a lot of little kids in my family, but not really responsible for any of them myself. All right. So once you've explained to them why the kit's important, you walk them through it, ask them any questions. You have any questions on how the kits would work? The one or 2 big questions you're probably going to get is what do I do with it if something happens? Right? If something happens, what you're going to do is you're going to give this to the police. They're probably going to take a photo of the front of it, a photo of the back of it, and they're going to disperse it to every other officer in the area so they can start that search really quickly, right? Main reason why you want to get the search started quickly is because every single minute that you wait to get this information out, the kid is one more mile away from the house that they could be. And think about it. If we're in Chicago right now, they can be in 3 different states in 2 hours. Very, very easily. They could be up in Wisconsin, down in Indiana, and probably over to Michigan too, right? So there's 3 different states within 2 hours that they could be in. So that's why it's very important to get the timeliness of this down. Now, after I explained, you know, what to do with it, parents will ask you, hey, where do I keep this at? You might get that question. Hey, where do I keep this at? Great question. You know, if they ever ask you a question, be like, that's a great question, you know? So the answer to that question is they should keep this in the freezer, to be honest. If they're at home and they're not using it, keep it in the freezer. Because number one, DNA is preserved longer when it's frozen. And you've all seen cold case files. You've all seen murder mystery shows where the DNA is frozen, right? That's true. It'll keep DNA a little bit longer, right? So you want to change it so often. Second reason why is because if God forbid the house burns down, usually the last thing that's still there is the fridge, right? So keep it in the fridge. And then the third reason why is if you're like me, I'm in the freezer every single day. You're probably in the freezer every single day. Our members are probably in the freezer every single day. So if they see the child safety kit sitting in the freezer every day, they're gonna recognize, oh, my kid's not there. I know where it's at. It's in the freezer, right? I usually make a little joke, like I usually say, like, hey, if Ben and Jerry's are your good friends, like they are my good friends, then you'll realize that child safety kit's in there every day, right? Just something a little corny like that for them to laugh. Like, believe me, I say the corniest jokes in the house, and the people laugh every single time, right? Because you want to be entertaining to them. This is a part in the presentation where you want to be entertaining. You want to be uplifting. It's not very serious. I mean, it's a very serious subject, right? Kids going missing, but you want to be enthusiastic about it, because the more enthusiastic you are about explaining this to them, the more people that they're going to refer into it. If they're having a good time with you about this, their friends are going to like it too. Let's refer them in. And that's what we're getting into next. Once we explain the kits and how they work, next thing to do, collect referrals, right? Now, with referrals, the first thing we want to do with them is to get their phones, into their hands.
Can
right?
I
So you got to
interject
make
for a
sure that
second?
their
I'm
cell
sorry.
phone is in their hand. Now, you might run into some times where they're using their phone for the presentation. They can back out of Zoom, look at their contact list, and still be in the presentation with you guys. It's not going to close Zoom out. As a matter of fact, unless they close Zoom themselves, it will still be on. There was a guy we sold on Tuesday at 5 o'clock. He stayed in the waiting room till 9 o'clock when we got done with our last presentations. He was still in the waiting room. He doesn't know I don't think he knew he was in there. He just turned the app off on his phone and he assumed that Zoom would stop. But fortunately, he was still there, you know? So what I'm getting at is they can use their phone even though they're on Zoom. They can still use their phone, right? Now, the way we get their phone into their hands is by asking them, now, Mary and Joe, right? Now, you have your phone on you, right? Can you go ahead and do me a favor and grab your phone? I have some very important information I need you to put into it. So they grab their phone, right? Number one, you're building control. You're asking them to do something really quickly for you, right? It's very important so they'll understand why they're doing it. And what you're going to do is you're going to get them to make a new contact in your phone. So Joe, Mary, grab your phone for me really quickly. I have some very important information I need you to put into it. All right, you got your phone? Okay, great. What I want you to do is open up a new contact and save it as child safe ID kits or child safe. And I want you to save this number in there. All right, there's a number at the bottom of the kit down here. It's 1-800-742-6783. You can either give them that number or you can give them the office number. One of those two. I usually give them the office number, to be honest with you. And I say, what you're going to do is if these kits get damaged, they're messy from updating them, or you need more kits down the road, give that phone number a call and they can get more sent out to you for free. All right. So that number is important to them because they can call it if they need more kits. It's important to us because now they have their phone in their hands, and guess what they're looking at in their phone? Their contacts. Their contacts, right? So next thing you're going to say to them is, now, Mary and Joe, the police and firefighters are really on us about this, right? They're not asking for any monetary donations for these child safety kits, but what they are asking is that you do your part in the community by sponsoring a minimum of 10 of your closest family members and friends to receive their kits for free as well, right? Now, I know you said your brother Joe had 2 kids for himself, you know, and he lives right up the street from you. Why don't we start with Joe? So Joe's number is his number 773 or 312, right? The first thing you want to do with collecting referrals is take the low-hanging fruit. Use the easy ones, right? When you're building rapport with them, if you know their brother has 2 kids, go after him first every single time. Use the easy route to get referrals, right? Now, some people will just be like, oh yeah, Sally needs them, my aunt needs them, and they'll just list them off their phone. They'll just go right at it. You know, I've had people give me 20 plus referrals just by asking that same question. And then I've had people give me 0 by just saying the same words, right? The more and more you say those same words consistently, the more you'll get referrals from it. It's not going to work every single time, but it will work over time. Does that make sense? So good question. So the question was, what if they don't give you any referrals right off the bat? What if they don't know anybody, right? Figure out what their situation is. If they're a young person and they don't know anybody with kids, that's probably true. They might have someone in their family, you know. You can always make suggestions like, hey, I know you only have 1 kid yourself, but you said your son plays baseball. What about a couple of the kids on the baseball team? Any of those parents need the kits? Right? Yeah, you got to think if they're playing sports, typically they're playing sports with other kids. They're not playing sports by themselves. I mean, there are some sports you can play by yourself, but a lot of them are team oriented, right? So that's a good way to do it, just throwing out suggestions for them. Another really good way to almost beat any rebuttal It's called the feel, felt, found method. Okay. So you can use it for almost any rebuttal. And I use it here a lot because the way it works is you're going to, number one, empathize with them, feel, right? I understand how you feel. Mary and Joe, I understand how you feel about the referrals, right? I understand how you feel about referring other people to get these kids too, right? You're not the only member that ever felt that way. So including them with somebody. Feel, felt, and then what we actually found out through doing this is the most effective way to get these child safety kits out in the people's hands who need them is for parents to sponsor other parents to receive them for free, right? So just by doing your part in the community, who do you know that needs these kits? And I'll just say that again. And they'll be like, when you put it that way, probably Joe will need them. You have any neighbors, right? Just throw out suggestions to them. Now, I don't want you to beat a dead horse here because I don't want you to ruin the whole presentation by being a stickler for getting 10 referrals here. You should always try to get a few here. This is, to be honest with you, this is where a bulk of your referrals are going to come from is the child safety kits. Because a lot of people have kids, a lot of people want to protect their kids, right? And if you build this up in value, they're going to refer a lot of people to get them, right? And to be honest, child safe referral sets are some of the best sets you can get. Because number one, they already have need for life insurance. They have a family, right? They have little kids, right? And chances are they're a younger family too. So all three things play into our advantage with life insurance for them, right? So the one thing I would always say when you're collecting referrals is get them started. You got to get them started giving referrals and then make it fun for them. Like the more fun you make it for them collecting referrals, the more they're going to do it. Now it's might be a little bit tough to make it fun for putting names on a piece of paper, right? But you could coach them up through it. What I mean by that is, let's say that they gave you one person. Okay, you got Jim down here listed first. We're going to make sure I get them out to him. You got 9 more spots left. Who's next? Okay, you got Sally and you got 8 more spots left. Right? You got 5 people on you. We're halfway home. Who else do you know? Coach them up through that. Don't just sit there and look at them like, who else you got? Right? It's not going to play over well. You got to be entertaining with them.
So with those referrals, do they get like all 4 of the no-cost benefits?
As many as you see fit to give to them.
Okay.
All right? We lost somebody here. As many as you see fit. So he basically asked if you're sitting down with a referral, what kind of no-cost benefits are they going to get? Any ones that you see fit. Typically, if it's a child safe, I'll go over child safe, AIL plus, family information guide, and a rate into life insurance. Right? But the collecting of the referrals here, it has to be something you do every time. You cannot skip this part. You really can't. Now, if they're an older person and they don't have kids or anything like that, yeah, we can go through it a little quicker, right? But to be honest with you, the child safety kit explanation should take 2 to 3 minutes. Then maybe spend 5 or 6 minutes collecting referrals, right? You can even take these referrals one step further. Let's say Mary and Joe gave me 10 people on this list. I would say, Mary and Joe, you did an awesome job making sure you protected all these other families here, but I do run a very, very booked up schedule, and it's almost going to be impossible for me to see all 10 of these people on this page, right? I'm going to give you my promise. I'll do my best to get these out to as many people that you listed, right? But, the best thing to do would actually be for you to actually shoot them a call right now so we can put them on my schedule today. So go ahead and give them a call really quickly. That way I can put them on my schedule, right? And if it's 1 or 2 people, have them call those 1 or 2 people right then and there. Now, if it's 8 or 9 o'clock at night, don't push so hard, right? But if it's like 5, 6, 3, 4 o'clock, make them call them right then and there. Number one, because are they going to answer your phone call, a stranger who they don't know the number, or are they going to answer their best friend's phone call? Yeah. Right? They're going to answer their best friend's phone call right off the bat every time. And let's say you're still in the meeting with them and they call them. They're probably going to sound something like this. Steve, I got, hey, how you doing, man? I'm actually sitting down here with, the life insurance guy through our union, and he has some child safety kits for you. And they'll probably stumble a bunch of words. They won't know what to say. So if you see them visually on the phone, gesture to them on Zoom, hey, Or just say, hey, put it on speaker. I'll talk to him real quick. And just tell them to put it on speaker and hold it up to the phone. Hold the phone up to the screen. You can hear them. Sounds good enough you can hear. And just set the appointment with them. You guys know how to set appointments. All you have to do is say, hey, my name is Drew. I'm with American Income, taking care of Joe's benefits through his Teamsters Union. He's able to sponsor a couple other people to get some child safety kits for free. And good news is he thought of you. And he mentioned you had 3 little kids, right? Okay, perfect. So, you know, what we're doing to get these out to everybody is we're meeting with everybody via Zoom. You're familiar with Zoom, right? Okay, great. Basically, I have some time between this time and this time, or this time and this time, which works best. All right. Set them for an appointment. And when you get done with the meeting, send them a Zoom link. All right. Then you already have an appointment scheduled on your phone. It's even better if you can get it for right after that appointment. All right, if you do this appointment and then you book their brother as a referral right after this, it's almost a guaranteed sale. I'm telling you guys, it's one of the greatest things to do is to roll a referral from one house to the other. All right, especially if it's a sale in the first house right to the next sale. There's no better feeling. And you don't even have to do anything. Think about it. How many phone calls do you have to make to set one appointment? 30? 30 plus?
35.
He made one phone call, set one good appointment, right? Referrals, you'll probably set, probably a little bit higher of a percentage with referrals. Probably set about, I don't know, maybe 70 people. I mean, 1 out of every 20 people you call, you're probably set on a referral as opposed to 1 out of 30, 35, right? So referrals are very, very important to this business. And the way you get them, a lot of them is with the child safety kits. And they're typically better referrals too. Now, the one thing I do want you to keep in mind here is that birds of a feather flock together. Okay. What I mean by that is you might run into some shitty people. It happens. You're going to run into some shitty people who will give you shitty referrals. Right? Just keep in mind that if you're going down a bad referral chain, cut that chain off. Let it go. Start a new one. Don't waste your time on that stuff. Right? You know, one example I'll give you is if you're in an area where it's not very affluent, right? People don't have a lot of money, right? And you have one person saying, oh, I don't have a bank account. Second person, oh, I don't have a bank account. Well, that third and fourth and fifth person, probably going to be in the same boat, right? So all I'm saying is pay attention to your referrals. If they're all going a certain way, the ones that are following it, if they refer people, they're probably going to know the same shitty people too, right? Same goes with the good referrals though. If you have a good referral chain, they're going to start giving you the good people, right? It goes both ways with that. So, I mean, that's basically the child safety kits. You know, once again, explaining the importance of it, walking them through it, and then collecting referrals from it, all right? Do you guys have any questions on the child safety kits? Nothing here? Anything virtual?
Yeah, I do.
What you got for me?
All right. My name's Zach. We haven't met yet, but
How you doing, Zach?
good, man. Thanks. So you were talking about with where to store it. Now, I used to work for Arius, and one of the things that they taught it actually made a lot of sense, and it's completely opposite to what you had said. And what you said is like a great idea. If your house burns down, you have it in the freezer, it's usually the thing that remains intact. But they said that, you know, they used to frame it like, get the client involved, like, hey, you know, where might you consider storing this thing? And they're like, oh, my gun safe or my office drawer. And it's like, well, you know, let me ask you a question. Where do your kids go missing while you're at the house under, you know, with under your supervision? And it's like, no, not really. It's like, well, where do your kids go missing the most? Where do kids go missing the most generally? It's like, well, the mall, the grocery store. Well, you know, you're kind of wasting precious time if your kids go missing at the mall or the grocery store and you have to drive all the way home to go get the kit, wasting that precious time. So what we recommend is for men, keep it in a glove box in your car, or women, you know, keep it in your purse. That's where we would recommend. I mean, that's basically how we would pitch it. But I mean, I think your idea is good too, but like they're complete opposites. So which one, like,
You both. You can use both. So if they're at the house, you know, keep it at the house. Whenever they leave to go somewhere, Tell the wife, keep it in the purse, or the man, yeah, glove box. I love it. I would tell people that too. Say because sometimes they'll ask you like, hey, if I leave the house, do I bring it with me? Yeah, 100%. That's why it's in this plastic bag. Right?
Yeah.
If it's in like a super hot car.
No, the ink will be fine. The ink strip's fine.
The thing is, like, they can always put the parts and pull the car and completely use the kit.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. If they're mobile with it, it's easy for it to be lost.
Yeah, that's the only thing is, yeah, you're right. I mean, we said here, basically, if you damage the car goes up in flames or something like that, the kit's gone. But that's like a few and far between type of thing. I would exactly recommend what you did. If they're at the house, keep it at the house in like a lockbox or, you know, the freezer. Or if they go out to like, I would always say when I worked back in Pittsburgh, I would say if you go to Kennywood or the mall or something like that, make sure you put it in your purse with you. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, both ways work. Very, very good.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
How long ago did you work at Arias?
Last year.
Okay. Yeah, I was with Arias for like 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I learned so much there, so I can't ever hate on it. All right, so next benefit. Now, keep in mind, we took about a half an hour to walk through that with you guys. Should take 5 minutes, if that. Should be pretty quick, right? Now, the next benefit that they set up for you guys was your AIL Plus discount card, right? Now, if you're on Gio's team, do you guys still use the old card or do you use a new one?
It doesn't look like that.
Yeah, it's probably the old one then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one doesn't work anymore. I don't know why he's still teaching that. But the new card, I mean, you probably remember the old card from working at Arias though. It was like, it came in like a little pamphlet. It was red,
Yeah.
right? But this is way better. Like the company spent like the last 3 years and a couple $1 million developing a better program, right? So the discount card, first thing I say, the next benefit they had set up for you was your AIL Plus discount card. Now let them know right off the bat, guys, this is not insurance. It says it really big on the front of the card. And I usually circle it on my computer. I have like a pen I can draw on my computer. I circle it. Say really big, this is not insurance. What this is designed to do is take care of anything you pay out of pocket, right? It's designed to supplement any insurance you already have, right? So the next slide, I show them what it represents, what it can save, right? Now, the main reason why I'm going over this with them is I want to dig into a little bit of what their health looks like, right? So when I get down the road in the presentation, I'm not like, oh shit, they're not in great health. At least if I know they're not in great health right here, I can kind of finesse the end of the presentation a little bit better, right? The main question I ask them, I say, now, do you guys take any prescription medications or anything like that? If they're like, no, we're good, we don't take anything, I'm like, okay, great. I know, probably a good candidate for life insurance. But if they're like, oh man, yeah, I take this, and this, but it's all covered by my insurance. I'm like, okay, great. I'm glad that your insurance covers it. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, damn, this guy's got a lot wrong with him, right? I don't ever say that to him, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, might have to find a different route for insurance for this guy, right? But when I bring this on the screen, I kind of just walk him through it. I say, oh, maybe he's still in the waiting room, but can I see that? Sorry. No, he's not here. Okay. All right. Come on, back up. Zach, can you see the full screen of it?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I usually show them, I say, guys, you know, you can save anywhere from 10 to 85% at the retail pharmacy. So like that's CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, all those good places are on the card. Okay. If they want prescription glasses, like I notice this about people. I would say, look, you wear glasses just like myself. Do you pay anything out of pocket for your glasses? And they're going to say yes. Because there's not really many eye care providers that accept 100% of insurance. Like doesn't exist. There's always something added on that you're going to pay out of pocket for, right? Like anti-glare on your lenses or some like the special frames or something like that. Like the very generic glasses, yes, they'll give them to you for free. Your insurance will pay for them. But that's so few and far between. No one really has like the basic generic glasses, right? So everyone pays a little bit more for them. Now, Prescription glasses, it saves about 20 to 60% on those. That's money people could be putting towards something else, right? I always go over the chiropractic consultant. If you go to the chiropractor, the first consultant's usually free. Diabetic supplements is a good reason. Do you guys use any diabetic supplements? That way I know if they have diabetes right off the bat, right? And then it works with, hearing aids as well, and MRI and CT scans. So I just show them on the second page all the discounts they can get. And I would ask them, do you guys have any questions on any of the discounts that are here? Usually the question that they'll answer, they'll say is, yeah, does it work with my current insurance? Or does this company accept this? So it's hard to ask, it's hard to get specific answers for that. I don't know which company accepts which discount. There's no way to figure that out until they go there. The card is provider based, which means the providers set the discounts, not our company. Does that make sense? So it's tough for us to show. That's why there's a gap of 10 to 85%. Some will accept 10%, some will accept 85%, right? But letting them know that the great part about the card and the great part about the program is if it can't help you, it can't hurt you. It doesn't cost any money, right? And then I tell them, once again, just kind of like everything now, the card is going digital. It's not a physical card anymore. It's actually an app on your phone or your computer that they would use, right? So the app kind of looks like it does on the screen there. You can get it from either the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. It's free. It doesn't cost them any money. Or they can go right onto the website and have access to it right on their computer, right? So the way that they fill this out, though, is in the needs analysis. Have you guys gotten to the needs analysis on the e-app?
Yeah.
Just a circle. Okay. So on the e-app itself, when you look at the e-app, the first part of the needs analysis, it says AIL discount card, and it'll have their email address, their phone number, and their physical address on there. That is where our company, after the presentation, is going to send them an email that says, hey, welcome to the AIL Plus program. Here's your login information. So they can use that to download the app and then have it on their computer, on their phone really quickly. That's how it gets sent out to them. Now, when I send a folder out to them, we have this little printout here, right? And I send this in the folder to them. In the printout, it says you can also sign up at mybenefits.com, or they can call that phone number. So if they're not really too familiar with a smartphone or an app, they can actually do it by calling our company or going onto that website. That's why I send this out to them, right? But the main things you want to get across to them with the AIL Plus card are, number one, asking them about their medications, if they're taking any kind of crazy medications, right? And then number two, letting them know that this is not going to hurt them in any way. It's only going to help them. Right? So you're building value up in the company, right? And then at this part, I ask them, do you have any questions on how your AIL Plus card would work? And they say no, right? This should be 2 minutes, if that, fly through this part, right? They're not going to have too many questions on it. I can guarantee it, right? It's designed to supplement their current insurance, right? So now the next benefit that they have set up for you is the family information guide. Now the physical copy of it looks kind of like this. Looks the same exact as it does on the screen. It's a big, long, gray piece of paper. All right. Now, the family information guide is probably where you're going to dig for the most information on this family. It's probably where you're going to get the most ammunition to use down the road, right? The family information guide itself, the main reason why it was designed is because a lot of our members have this information in their possession at the house. The concern or the problem is that once this member passed away, their family has to flip through every piece of paper in the house to find this information, right? We condensed it and put it all into one easy form so that all their family has to do is find this and they can get the process started. So this family information guide is going to kick in basically once they pass away and get them through the next 3 to 5 days, right? It's designed to get them the information they need when you pass away, right? So, and I usually just walk them through it, show them how it works. I would say, okay, so the first part of your family information guide is all your personal information. So name, address, social, all that good stuff. Next question down, I ask them if they're a veteran. So are you guys veterans by any chance? If they say no, okay, don't have to fill anything out. If they say yes, thank them for their service. Pretty self-explanatory there. Make sure you do thank them for their service, okay? Next part down, spouse's information. If they do have a spouse, I usually send out 2 of them. So the husband gets one, spouse gets one. They can just put where spouse's information, they can just write see other guide, and they just keep it together. And they can just look at the other guy, right? Persons to be notified. That 4th section down is pretty important. This is where their beneficiaries are going to go. Anybody who has any claims to life insurance, anybody you want to know, or anybody you want to notify that you passed away. So like friends, families, person to be in charge of final arrangements. This is a good question to ask them. Mary, if you passed away tomorrow, who would your beneficiary be? Oh, it would be Joe. What if you guys both passed away? Who would it be at that point? Right? You can get beneficiaries right here, right? So that's a good place to ask them, because what we're doing right now, we're starting to talk about death. Starting to talk about everything after you pass away, right? So we went from child safety kits to talking about their family, to talking about their health, to talking about life insurance, right? So it's a really smooth transition into that. So persons to be notified, those are people to be there and assist with the final arrangements, right? The next section down is a will. You can ask them, now, do you guys have a will or anything like that set up? If they say yes, okay, great. This is going to work hand in hand with your will. If they don't have one set up, great. This is actually where we're going to put your information when you do get a will set up. So when you do get your will set up, what you're going to do is you're going to put your attorney's name, the executor, and where the papers are on file at. Because what good is having a will if your family can't find it? You just wasted all that time, right? Now, the next section down, the estate information, is by far the most important section on this guide, by far. This is the estate information, or where all of your life insurance is going to go, right? So why this is important is because just alone last year, $1.6 billion of life insurance went unclaimed. It's a lot of money. That's hardworking people putting all this money into these policies, and the money's not going to their family. It's going right back to the life insurance company, right? So what I asked them here, I would say, Joe and Mary, do you have any permanent life insurance in force right now? That's the question you should ask them every single time here. Mary and Joe, do you have any permanent life insurance in force right now? And they're going to answer this question in one of 3 ways. First way, they're going to say, yes, I have permanent life insurance. I'm going to say, okay, great. Who do you have it through, for example? And then they'll say, oh, State Farm. State Farm, you're going to put State Farm under company, policy number 12345, and then the amount, right? That's if they answer yes to permanent coverage. If they say, yeah, we have life insurance through work, I'm going to go, okay, great. You see where it says group coverage? That's where you're going to put your work coverage at the bottom there. You're going to put the company, the policy number, and then there's no spot for an amount, because once again, once you quit, fire, retire, all the benefits you get from work go away. That's why they don't have a spot for an amount on there.
What if they're still working though and then die in an accident? Is that still intact? Because then would they need to still write down the cost of it? Because they technically didn't get fired or quit.
Yeah.
Or
They would still, yeah, they can put it in pencil if they want. But the main reason why I'm saying that is to get them to realize, once again, they might have coverage through work, but it's not permanent, right? You really won't get too much pushback on that.
Yeah.
Now,
in case somebody did bring that up.
yes, you could say, yes, you could put it in pencil here if you wanted to, but just keep in mind, it's not permanent. Once you quit, fire, retire, it will go away. And to be honest with you, it's probably 1 out of 100 people who actually know who their life insurance is through work. There's actually probably 1 person out of 100 that'll actually know that, because they just live their lives. They put, it comes out of their check every single week, and they don't even realize it, right? And they might have 1 opportunity every year where they can increase or decrease it, right? So the life insurance through work is like not really a thought to most people. They're gonna be, oh yeah, I have it. I'm like, if I ask them who they have it through, they have no clue. So I don't even ask them, because they're gonna be like, I don't know. Wasting my breath, you know? So That's a very good question. No, you typically really won't run through that too much.
So then they just write down their own company's name?
Yes.
Just say, I don't know.
Yeah. If they don't know who their life insurance is through, like if you have permanent life insurance, but you don't know who it's through, well, I would say that's a really big problem.
I think he's talking about work.
Yeah.
Are you talking about work?
Yeah.
Yeah, if he doesn't know who it's through, like, what do they put under company?
They would have to figure that out. So once you guys figure out who the company you have it through is, put that down there. Do some research. I don't know who they have it through. There's 1,000 different companies that do, combined life insurance. So that's like the second way that they can answer it. They could say, yes, I have life insurance through work. Okay, great. Right? Let them know that's not permanent at that point. And then the third way that they could answer it, and the best way that they could answer it for your situation, is no, I don't have any permanent life insurance in force. When they say no at that point, I'm like, all right, let's go. Ready, right? But you can't show that visually to the member. You got to just keep a straight face and be like, okay, not if, but when you get some permanent coverage, because we all need it, right? You're going to put the company, so AIL, policy number, and amount. See, I just threw AIL, a little seed in there every single time. All right. So the one main reason why I want you guys to ask them who they have their life insurance through is so that you can use it for ammunition down the road. So you guys are all very new and very inexperienced about different companies. Like, I don't know if you've done research on other companies and looked at other policies or not, right? This is a good learning experience for you. Let's say that this guy had MetLife, right? And you had no idea what MetLife does or what kind of policies they sell or anything like that. Your homework at that night, look up MetLife policies. Figure that out so that when someone says, oh, I have MetLife, you can say, oh, you must have this type of policy, right? Because there's companies out there that only specialize in certain things, right? So if I hear something like Primerica, that's a very common one. You guys will hear Primerica. Just know it's term. It's always term. So if someone tells me, oh, yeah, I have Primerica, I know down the road to be like, yep, that's a term policy, right? I can use that knowledge that I gained here effectively. So I want you guys to ask what company they have it through, for example, right? And then if they don't have any, no, not if, but when you get some permanent coverage, because we all need it, right? You're going to write the company, so AIL, the policy number, and then the amount, right? Main reason why, once again, this is here is because that $1 billion goes unclaimed every single year, right? And this makes sure that your family has everything they need in one place to give them the policy number and then call the company and get the money issued. Because normally it takes anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks for a company to pay back a life insurance claim. You guys ever want to realize why? Because people lose information. They lose their policies. And then they have to call every single company. Did my mom have life insurance with you? No. Okay. Did my mom have life insurance with you? No. But my mom, they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to call 1,000 companies to figure out who they had their life insurance through. And if they don't have the policy number, then they're SOL, shit out of luck, right? So having it written down is just a good visual representation for them so they know that they have it and their family knows they have it. They're putting hard-earned money into this policy. Just make sure it goes to the right people, right? That's all. So once you have that there, and this is not the right time to dig into their information, to dig into their policy. If they tell you they have State Farm, don't be like, oh, what kind of State Farm policy you have, right? It's not the right time to do that. The right time to do that is when you're breaking down their coverage. So you mentioned you had a State Farm policy, right? Do you know if that's term or if that's whole, right? Do you know how much it's worth, right? When did you get it?
Do that during the life insurance or do that before the needs?
Before the needs. When I'm breaking down their pie chart with them, when I'm breaking down their needs. Because if they already have coverage, I spend that shit. Like I said, they already have $200,000 of coverage. I spend that on income protection. There's still 3 other gaps.
So when do you ask that in the needs?
I already have it figured out because I asked it right here. Do you guys have life insurance? And I'll revert back to it.
Okay.
So I'll say, hey, you guys told me that you had life insurance through State Farm, right? When did you guys get that policy? How old were you when you got it? Do you know how much it's worth? How much you pay for it, right? That's a big part of kind of the closing, and I'm going to go over that. That's one of my training classes with you guys on Wednesday next week is that pie chart, going over that. So we'll get more into that next week. But just know off the basis here, the one reason why we're asking them who they have their life insurance through is so we can, exactly, we can use that as ammunition later down the road, right? So I don't want you to really go into depth with them and be like, hey, you know, you have 200,000, you know, it's probably term at this point. You're barking up the wrong tree. The reason why you're barking up the wrong tree right there is because you haven't shown them that you're an expert yet. You're just some dude right now. You know what I mean? Once you explain to them that you're the expert and you show them you're an expert, you can ask those questions like, is it term or is it whole? Because they know you're an expert now and they're going to get good advice from it. But if you're just doing it right here, it doesn't make any sense to do that right there. All right. Now, do you guys have any questions on the state information or anything?
No.
Cool. What about you, Zach?
Not on the estate part, but like there's a section above it about the last will and testament. If you,
Yep.
you go through each section, you ask them like, do you guys have a will? When we finish the family information guide, is that when we would go to the will kit?
Yes. If it was a will kit presentation, yes, 100%.
Because like what reason why I ask is the way Austin does it is you do the will kit every time unless they have a will. So I don't know if you do a will kit for everybody. You said there's some that you tailor where some you do and some you don't with different no cost, but
Yeah, I generally do not go over the will every time.
okay.
Only because we don't have supplies for that. We
Okay.
can get them ordered and get them delivered. It's not an issue. But I don't go over that with somebody just because it's like extra time that I'm wasting. It's not really wasting, you know what I mean? But at a certain point, it's like there's so many no cost benefits. I just want to get into the insurance. That's the main reason why I'm out there, you know?
Okay.
But no, I mean, if they're older, yeah, if they're an older union member, yeah, definitely you can go over with them. But if they're just an older child safe member, then don't. If they're a union member, definitely go into it. Or if they're a policyholder, yeah, for sure. You can go over a little bit more with them.
I guess like the bigger picture question is how, like you said, you customize your client with what no cost you pitch and which ones you don't. And I guess I'm not real seasoned to discern whether this client, like if it's like an older couple, you know, and they don't have kids or their kids are all grown, like it doesn't make sense to do a child safe. I get that. But like they've got coworkers, they've got neighbors, they've got nephews and nieces that have little kids. Like that's still an avenue for referrals. So
100%.
I guess like I'm interested in your methodology with which situations or which demographics you would not pitch a certain no cost.
Only reason I would not pitch something is if they just right off the bat were like, yeah, I don't need that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most presentations, I'd say about 90% of my presentations, maybe even more, I go over the child safety kits, AIL Plus card, family information guide, and then either their AD&D or just rate into life insurance.
Okay.
So I usually don't, you know, I really only really take out one or two things, and I usually only take out either the child safe or the will kit.
Okay.
So I usually just go through most of it every single time with every single person, because that's just the way I learned how to do it in that order. And I feel like if I take one of them out, like I'm kind of fumbling a little bit, you know, because I was taught a certain way to do it this way every single time. And I just act like a robot and I do it every single time that way. Even if I get a little pushback, I still just go through it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, keep in mind, we got to, you know, make sure we're not wasting supplies and things like that on people who don't need the things. So if they don't need child safety kits, don't even kind of go worry about it. I mean, yeah, you always want to try to get referrals from it, but if they don't see a value in it, then then other people they refer aren't going to see value either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that. I get what you're saying.
Okay. Any other questions on the family information guide at all?
What do you guys call your policies?
What is that?
What do you call your income supplement policies?
Like income protection?
Yeah.
Income protection?
I just need to
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be more or less like a 10-year term or accidental, depending on their age.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, and that's another thing I'll get into on Wednesday with you guys is selling on concept, not on price. Like selling on the concept of income protection or the concept of final expense protection.
You just use AD&D is income protection essentially?
Depends on how old they are. Yeah.
Okay.
And you guys will get better at that. You'll get better at looking at options, and the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with the numbers and being able to work a plan with somebody.
Yeah.
But the last section on here, I'll get through it. Last section on here down is the oh, sorry, I missed one. Financial institution information. A good, easy way to ask if they have a checking account. So it says financial institution information here, Mary and Joe. Do you guys have a checking account? Yeah. Okay, great. You're going to put down who you have a checking account through, city, account number. That way your family can access your money when you pass away.
You really run into that many people without checking account? Really?
You'd be surprised. How many people don't have a bank account and don't have full sets of teeth in their mouth. Like those are two things you're like, damn. Okay. Like especially when you go out into the field, like when you're out in homes with people are themselves at the house. Some of them don't have teeth. And it all depends on the demographic you're working to. So if you're not in a very affluent neighborhood or something like that, you might run into a lot of people that don't have checking accounts. Right? And sometimes it's not their fault. Sometimes they were like overdrafted and that overdraft's still there, so they can't get another checking account from someone else. You know, sometimes they fucked up one account. That way it's like, oh, I got 4 more down the road. Can't get anything else there. Yeah.
So they mostly use like MoneyGram and like money orders to like get their paychecks from work and all that, and cash that and stuff. So what if they bring up that question like, can I use my money order to pay for it? You have to tell them no, right? Because it only comes out of a bank account.
Correct. I mean, there are ways to finagle a way to get a policy put through with a money order or a check. Like there's ways to do that. Yeah. It's a long, drawn out process. They're not going to get approved for a month. And it takes so much time and energy that's not worth it.
So what do you tell them at that point? Like, sorry, you don't qualify and you just leave the appointment?
I would say, well, no, I mean, if they don't have a bank account right here, I don't close up the app. Oh, sorry, you don't have a bank account. See you later. Like I don't do that. What I do is I know in the back of my brain, they don't have a checking account. I have to figure this out. Maybe their daughter has a checking account that they can use. You know, maybe I can get them to sign up for a Chime account online. Maybe I can get them to sign up for Chime. Chime, it's an online bank. Yep. Chime or Huntington Bank does online checking as well. So you can sign up for a Huntington Bank right on the internet. You can do that too. But to be honest with you guys, if they don't have a checking account, it's probably not good business anyway. It's probably going to fall off the books anyway. If you have to drive somebody to the bank to get their bank information, probably not a good policy to put on the books. Just letting you know. Like I've done it before. Believe me, I've done it.
It messes up your retention.
Messes up your retention. It falls off the books. You get charged back. Yeah. Nothing good happens from it.
It's charged back like 9 months.
Charge back?
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Policy enforces 2 weeks. You don't get charged back.
No. Oh, if it's enforced for 4 months.
4 months.
4 months.
Yeah.
Yep. No charge back. You might get a little one, but it's not going to be like $100. It'll be like $20. It won't be anything crazy. Yeah, 4 months. They got to pay 4 months. So that's probably one of the main reasons why I would ask for the bank information right there. So I know down the road, like, hey, they don't have a checking account. I don't have to waste my time going through it. Right? I can say, oh, now it looks, in order to qualify for this, you would have to have a checking account because the way our company handles it, they handle it electronically right from your bank account every month.
So you guys don't do full chargeback?
If it falls off in the first month, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anytime in the first 3 months, 4 months, they'll charge you back a percentage of it. Because you got to remember, we don't get advanced 100%.
Is it a full chargeback though, or is it that like 65?
It's whatever you got advanced.
Okay.
Whatever you got advanced, you'll get charged back. And you could split those chargebacks too. But that's a different subject for sure. But just getting their bank information there is good. Next part down is a safe deposit box. That's kind of like very few far between now. No, not too many people have a safe deposit box. If they do, if you ask them if they have a safe deposit box, make sure they understand what probate is. Like probate period is 6 to 8 months where they lock up the account. So if Joe dies and he has a safe deposit box and no one else is on that safe deposit box, just Joe, if Mary wants access to it, she has to go through probate, which is 6 to 8 months.
She can be executor of the state and they get
They can,
Yeah,
yes,
I used to work at the bank.
they can, but they have to basically go through court to do that.
Yeah, they have to, it has to be specifically stated on their executor of the estate paperwork. Like usually they'll say, this person has control of all financial accounts, life insurance, whatever.
Mhm.
They have to specifically say that this person can access
My safe
all
deposit box.
all safe deposit boxes.
Correct. Now, they're not as popular as they used to be. But a lot of people that have a safe deposit box keep very important things in there, like wills, like money,
Yeah, you
like
don't know how many
IRAs, like 401k plans, all that shit. And the worst part is if they're not on the account, they have to wait 6 to 8 months. And even if they are on it and they have to go through court, it's not quick. It's a month.
And then when you go into the bank, it's like a 3-hour process
Mhm.
to get into it, 'cause all of the internal bullshit that we have to do, it's not.
It's like, and I understand why people think that, oh, I have money in the bank, I can use that for a funeral. Yeah, you can 2 months down the road when it all gets processed. It's not liquid. It's not like I can have it at this point. Now, if both names are on it, then yeah, they can go right in there and grab it real quick. But chances are, if they had a safe deposit box, it's just their name on it. You know what I mean? They had it for so long that it's just theirs now. You know, but you'll very, very, very rarely run into safe deposit boxes. So I just say, do you have a safe deposit box? No. Okay, cool. Don't have to worry about that section. If they do, okay, great. Make sure you guys understand both names need to be on that to avoid probate. Like, okay, cool. The next section down is also a very important section because number one, what this is going to do for them, it's going to get them to start thinking about death, getting them to start thinking about what's going to happen after they die, right? And it's important for us because we know we can ask them how they want to go out. We know if they want to be cremated, well, the cost for a cremation is 3 to 7 now, right? 20 years down the road, we're probably looking at 7 to 15. 20 years after that, 15 to 30. If they want a burial, now we're looking at, 7 to 15, 15 to 30, 60 to 90, right? You're projecting more because of what they need. So cremations are a little bit cheaper. The way I introduce this, I say, now the last section down here is also a very important section. This is the funeral service request. Everybody has their own way of going out, whether it's a burial, a mausoleum, or a cremation. Mark it down your way. That way no one's going to fight about it. All right, this stops family fighting. Because I don't know if you guys have a big family like I do, but I've definitely been to a funeral where my grandmother passed away. And my niece and my aunt were fighting about what color dress she would wear in the casket. Because my grandmother passed away like kind of sudden. So she didn't have anything written down about it, nothing like that. And they started fighting, like not a physical brawl, but there was like words thrown around in the funeral home. Like I remember this, it was like 6 years ago. And I haven't seen my niece like since then. Like no family functions, nothing like that. They like excommunicated her from the family because of what color dress she was wearing in the casket. Small little things like that at that time blow up into big family arguments because everybody's trying to do right by the deceased. Everyone's trying to do right by the deceased. Not everybody will, right? So all I tell people at this point is mark it down the way that you want to go so there's no family fighting, right? And they can even put there's a spot for special instructions if they have anything unique you want done. Like if they want to be cremated and shot off into space, or if they want to be mummified, or like turned into a tree, or turn into a diamond. Like there's so many different things people can do after death now. I've been here for 5 years. I've heard them all, right? You're going to hear some pretty crazy ones. People have some crazy ideas when they want to go, right? Just tell them to mark it down their way. That way no one's going to fight it, right? And then at the bottom where it says signature, they can get this paper notarized and it'll hold up as a legal document. Keep in mind, it's not designed to go through court proceedings. It's not designed to do that. It's only designed to get their family the information they need when they pass away. All right. Question?
I'm a notary.
You are.
If they go through all of this, can I just notarize it for them right then and there?
If you want. Yeah. Yeah. If you get them to fill all this out right then and there, yeah, they can notarize it right then and there. Yeah. I've never actually ran into anybody that actually asked that question. So yeah, I would assume so. There's not a conflict of interest there. You're okay. Yeah, there's no conflict of interest. You're good.
Yeah, usually the only thing that they tell you
Correct. Or anything you're profiting from. Correct. Yeah, my brother's a public notary too. He does like land grants. So
You're not profiting from the will.
no, you're not profiting from the family information guide. All right. So anybody have questions on the guide at all? Anything like that? What it's designed to do? The information you're supposed to gather from it? No? Zach, anything from you?
No, I'm good, man.
Cool. Cool. All right. So basically I'm going to pull this out here and pop us into an AD&D certificate that I had downloaded. Boom. Okay. So the other no cost benefit that they're going to have access to, if they're a union member, is their AD&D certificate, right? Only if they're a union member, they'll get this. If they're not a union member, they will not have this. This also goes with credit unions and associations too, right? Now, the way I explain this to them, I say now the next no cost benefit they have set up for you was your accidental death and dismemberment certificate, right? So you can see on the front here, it says, who is all covered? All active members and retirees in good standing. Can you see the screen, Zach?
Yep.
Okay. So you circle that. So what that means is as long as they're paying their union dues, this policy is active for them, right? Or if they're retired, they still get it during retirement, which is great. Not all unions are like that. Not all unions say active and retired members. Most of them say all active members in good standing. Now, there's two numbers over here. There is an SG number and an ID number. The SG number attaches American income to the Teamsters Local 3 or 731. The ID number attaches Kurt Klein to the Teamsters Local 731. So if anybody's going to make a claim on this policy, they need both of those numbers. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
When is this in the script? Like what part is this in the script that you initially?
I do this after the family information guide.
Right after the last one.
Mhm. Yep. So this is usually the last thing I go over. Some people go over it first with them. Right. The only reason, and you were probably taught in the areas to do it first, right? Maybe Zach?
Yep.
Now, that's not a bad plan to do it first. The reason why I do it last is because that's what they're waiting for, right? Yes. So when you call them on the phone and you tell them about their AD&D policy, that's what they remember, right? That's why I do this last. I build it up. I don't want to give them what they're expecting first because they probably won't pay attention to me afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my thoughts on it, Zach. But you can do it different ways. Like everyone's successful doing it either way. Like I've seen success doing it first. I've seen success doing it afterwards. It honestly doesn't matter. I just do it at the end because it just kind of flows a little bit better.
You had also said that you go from like least intrusive to most intrusive and least about death to most about death. So that makes sense.
Correct. Yep. That's usually what I do just because the presentation just flows easier that way, you know? But after I show them like what the SG number and the ID number are there, I say, now, Kurt, this is for the benefits for the accidental loss of your life, both hands, both feet, both eyes, one hand, one foot, one hand, one eye, one foot, one eye. Anything in that first category happens, Kurt, $4,000 is coming out to you if you're still alive. If you do pass away, that money is going to come out to Linda. Do you have any questions on that? They'll say no. Say, okay, great. Well, you're also going to get half that amount. So $2,000 if you lose one hand, one foot, or one eye. So really not enough to go cutting your hand off about. But if that happens, Kurt, that's what the money's there for. All right. And I ask them, do you have any questions on what it covers? They'll say no. I say, okay, great. Now there are some exclusions to this. Mainly suicide, sickness, voluntary taking of drugs, acts of war, committing felonies, right? Taking parts in riots. You can fly through those really quickly for them. Right? And then at the bottom, I say, now, when we send this out to you guys, you're going to get everything from this red line up in the mail. Anything from that red line down, we keep at the office for our records. Right? So I have to make sure that this name at the bottom here is verified and that the address is verified. I would say, Kurt, Does that all look right at the bottom for you? Your name spelled right there. The address is 6N381 Baker Drive in Itasca. I don't even know how to pronounce that name. And they're like, yes, that's perfect. I say, date of birth over here, correct? Yes. Now, sometimes, guys, you'll see that there'll be a phone number in here. Sometimes there won't be one. If there's a phone number in there, make sure you ask them, is that Linda's phone number or is that your phone number, Kurt? If it's Kurt's phone number, we need to get Linda's phone number on there, right? If there's no phone number on there, we need to get somebody's phone number on there, right? The reason why we need Linda's is because if something happens to Kurt and he dies, probably not going to be answering his cell phone, right? How are we going to get in touch with Kurt? Got to get in touch with Kurt's wife, right? So that's why I usually have them put the number down there. And I have a notebook that I write it down in. You know, when you guys are presenting, have a notebook, right? Write that information down. And then the last thing I do here is I collect contingent beneficiaries from this, right? If you're not collecting contingent beneficiaries here, you're missing out. It's super, super simple to do. All you got to say is Kurt and Linda. Basically, me and you two are the only people that know about this policy. So if Kurt, something happens to Linda before you, or you and Linda in the same accident, who do you want this money to go to then? Who is your contingent beneficiary? And he'd be like, oh, probably my son, James. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write James on the bottom of that certificate, and then we'll keep it at the office for the records here. So James, would James have the same last name as you? Okay, great. What's the best contact number for James? All right. And then what city does he live in? No. As a beneficiary, any life insurance policy, you can choose who you want to leave that money to. It's your decision. They don't have to. They can choose to leave it to whoever they want. They can leave it to their estate. They can leave it to their dog. Doesn't matter. It's their money, right? So the one thing I would recommend, though, is that let's say that they want to leave the contingent beneficiary to one of their kids who's really young, like 4, 5, 10 years old. What I tell them is you can leave your money to your kids, but if something happens, who's going to be taking care of your kids? That's who they should leave the money to, not the kid himself. Because the kid, if they're under 18, they cannot access that money right away. The money would go to their estate. Once any money goes to your estate, it becomes taxable. Life insurance is not taxable. Whole life insurance or any life insurance you pay out of your pocket for is not taxable, right? They already taxed it once. All right, so anything that you put into your estate becomes taxable, so you lose money right off the top of it. Also, if those kids needed to use that money right away, they have to hire a law team and attorneys to access that money, which costs money to pay a lawyer, right? And they have to wait. They can't just use it for the funeral right away. They got to wait because it has to go through court. It has to go through all kind of stuff to get them access to it. So that's why I tell parents, usually if they tell me kids, I tell them that. If they're like, I want to leave this to my son. I'm like, okay, you can leave this to whoever you want to leave it to, but I'm going to let you know what's going to happen if if you die and your kid's under 18. This is what's going to happen. And I tell them that. And they're like, oh, okay, let's leave it to my sister instead. And I'm like, okay, you can always change this down the road, right? So I went from no referral to a sister, right? Now, and I'm also giving him information he needs. He might not have known that, you know? So it's a very good way to get another referral here at the bottom and get contingent beneficiaries. So when you get a contingent beneficiary from here, call them just like a normal one. Hey, your brother had a life insurance policy set up. He named you as the contingent beneficiary. I need to, number one, let you know that you are the contingent beneficiary. And if you do accept that responsibility, and they'll say, yes, I say, okay, because you accepted that responsibility, my job is to explain to you how everything works. So I have some time between this time and this time. Put them right in your schedule, right? But this is super easy to go over with them. It's not difficult. Make sure that you understand who's all covered, what is covered, and then make sure the beneficiaries at the bottom down here and the phone numbers on there. Okay, those are the 3 basic things you got to do with that. Any questions on the AD&D? Nope. Zach, anything?
No, I'm good.
Pretty easy, right? Okay. So now, if that was a union member, what I would do is I would roll right into the life insurance. It's 2021, and most people we sit down with have life insurance. right? But if it was somebody that had a will kit, I would go right from where did I pull my will kit up at? Here we go. I would go right from the family information guide right to the will kit. I would say, okay, Mary and Joe, now this is the meat and potatoes of why we're here today. We're going to go over the will kit with you. All right. Now the first thing I show them is, and I don't even pull the screen up. I don't even pull the will kit up. I have them with me. I say, now guys, when you get the will kit in the mail, you're going to get 2 copies. You're going to get a blue copy and you're going to get a green copy. The blue copy is the workbook. It's designed for you to mess up, to fix, to change, to update. Once you have everything finalized in the blue copy, you're going to transfer it over to the green copy, and then you're going to get this notarized, right? So the workbook, if you guys look at the workbook, I don't know if you've ever seen one, Zach, with Arius, but
Yeah, I have one.
okay. So you guys can see them here at the office. It's pretty easy. The workbook itself, this page and this page are the same exact information. It works that way through the whole thing, except on this side, it gives you examples of what to put in there. And on this side, there's blank lines, right? And then when you look at the actual documents, there's no descriptions. It's just blank lines, right? So like I said, the workbook is designed for them to mess up, fix, change, replace. Once they finalize it here, transfer it over here, right? And then I say, now, Mary and Joe, the workbook is designed for you to take your time to do this. It's designed for you to mess up and fix, right? It's also designed for you to for it to walk you through it. So it has good examples of what to put in there. Now, I'm sure you might be able to figure this out on your own, but there are a few spots where I do see members have hiccups, right? So I'm going to walk through those spots with you. Then I pull the will kit up. Right, I have the PDF, and I can send you guys this PDF, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I will. What I'm going to do as well, because Zach, you could probably remember when they created this program, right? It was probably about 1.5 years ago. It wasn't too long ago.
Yeah.
And Mark Zipper actually has I have a file for you guys. It's a video. It's like 50 minutes long. He goes over like the full explanation of the will kit, and then he does like a 10-minute explanation of it. Like that should be your homework tonight to watch that. Go over that. It'll give you a great example of how to fill this out and how to work them with them, right? So I just basically walk them through it pretty quickly, but I do hit on a few spots, right? So the first spot, as you can see, I had actually, I can't take credit for this. Lita did this because she was having issues explaining it. And I was like, just annotate like what you should say in there and just put it on the screen. She's like, that's a great idea. So she took this will kit and annotated it a little bit. Now there are some spelling errors, so don't worry about that. But first thing I say is, now guys, where it says my will and testament, that's where you're going to put your name at. Pretty simple, right? Oh, there we go. The second page, or the third page is actually where they're going to start filling things out at. So top part, you put their name there, the person's name there, the city and the country of, right? Article number 1 is identification of family. So in this will, it's going to refer back to this Article 1 quite a few times. It's going to say in Article 1, you listed this person as your spouse. And it's going to say spouse every time through the will kit. That's where they're going to refer back to Article number 1. All right, so who your spouse is, who your kids are. All right. Article number 2. This is a very important article here, and it's very small, and it's more important than 2 sentences. It really is. Article number 2 goes on to state that the executor of the estate is responsible for all debts of that estate. Okay? So simply put, if this person has debt in their estate, the executor is responsible for all that debt. Meaning, let's say Joe passed away and Joe had $50,000 going to his estate positive, right? So it's $50,000 in, like, I don't know, savings and IRAs and everything like that. So he's $50,000 positive in this side. But on this side, Joe owes $20,000 in student loans and medical expenses, right? So what Joe's executor has to do is use this $50,000 to pay off this $20,000 and then give the rest of the $30,000 back to the family. If Joe uses the 50,000 and gives it right to the family, he's on the hook for that 20,000 now. Does that make sense? So the executor is responsible for all the debts of the estate. Simply put, a lot of people don't know that. Why I mention that to them is because if you nominate an executor for your estate and they don't know that, you might be screwing up their life. They might go take that 50 grand and use it for the family. And then a year later, they find out, shit, that debt transferred to me. I'm now 20 grand in debt. It happens. It sucks that it happens, but it happens, right? Now, not all debt is transferable. Most of it is, though, okay? I'm a big fan of, if you brought this debt into the world, it should go out with you in the grave, but unfortunately it doesn't. It follows along with your family, right? So that's article number 2. Main point you want to get across to them is understanding that the executor is responsible for all debts of the estate. Article number 3. Article number 3 is broken down into 4 subsections. Article number 3 is disposition of property. So this is what most people think about in a will, leaving things to certain people, right? Subtitle A is specific bequests. So there's typically 4 types of property you could leave to somebody. The first type is specific bequests, which is like the car, the house, jewelry, photo albums, memorabilia, anything that has intrinsic value to it, anything you're going to leave specifically to one person, right? Article number 2, okay. Article number 2 is a digital asset. So a digital asset. What that is, that's either anything that's either costing you money online or making you money online, right? Anything that's being pulled out of your account automatically. So like Netflix, Hulu, Facebook, Instagram, Etsy shops, Spotify, Amazon, all of that good stuff needs to be shut down when you pass away, right? Because Netflix does not know or care that you passed away. They're going to still pull that $15 a month every single month out of your account until you tell them to stop it, right? Now, a digital asset is becoming more and more popular. A lot of people have their phone bills come out automatic drafted every month, power bill automatic drafted every month. And if that company doesn't know that, they're still going to keep charging that person and wasting their money, right? What do you mean?
You have to close every account that has someone's name that is deceased associated with it unless they have a joint survivor on the account. So either way, those accounts are going to close.
Eventually, yeah. But what I'm saying is, in that first month to 2 months, that company does not know that you passed away.
Yeah.
There's no way that they can know that, But so that for that first 2 months, you got to have somebody in charge of that. Now it says digital assets. My digital assets shall be distributed in accordance to Schedule A, right? So where Schedule A is at, it says it's the last page. Why won't it let me go? Schedule A is in the last page right here. Oh, I still have it circled. Schedule A is over here, right? So with Schedule A, there's like 16 spots where they could put name of the asset, how to access it, username and password, and then what to do with it. So they can cancel all the Netflix, everything that they have digital-wise. They're going to name that person to go here and get a good list of it. This is like a good thing to have anyway. Yeah, I'm sure many people have passwords to a bunch of different sites that they forget. Like I do it all the time. Like I have one on my phone. Like I have a note in my phone that has all my passwords in it. So if someone ever took my phone, they'd be able to access everything. But I need that in there because I forget shit, right? So this is a good way to make sure that that person has everything they need to get the digital assets taken care of, right? So that's the second type of asset that someone can have. Well, I want to let me move here. Okay, there we go. The third type of asset someone can have is a remaining tangible property. So that's C, remaining tangible personal property. Now that's anything that's like left over at the house. So like old furniture, clothing, Tupperware, dishes, cleaning out the fridge, that type of thing. They're just going to nominate one person to do it right there, right? And it says, if this beneficiary does not survive, the property shall be distributed to my residuary estate, right? Now the residuary estate is typically anything that's liquid. 401ks, IRAs, investments, I don't know, pensions. Typically anything that's in like a lump sum when you pass away that you can split individually to people, right? So if this person had a Roth IRA set up for an individual, it'll go to that individual themselves. If their name's on it, it'll go individually to them. Correct. But if they're not on anything, like if it's just like a 401k that they set up for themselves, there's no beneficiaries, that goes to their estate. And once it's in their estate, it'll be broken up by percentage. So you can see on here, they can break it up by percentage of like 9 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. Now at the bottom, it says it has to add up to 100% right here. If it does not add up to 100%, the judge could throw this whole will out because of incompetence. Because you can't add up to 100, the judge is gonna be like, you didn't do this right. I'm not accepting any of this. You could throw it away. All right. So make sure you let them know it has to add up to 100% there. All right. Article number 4 is and this is where spelling area is. It's not executive, it's the executor and backup executor. So you're going to nominate person to take care of everything. Nominate one executor here and a backup down here. Article number 5 is the nomination of digital executor. So who's going to take care of the digital assets? They can be the same person. They could be different people. It doesn't matter. But most families have one person that's good with technology and usually one person that's bad with it, right? So they can name separate people. They can name the same person. Doesn't matter there, all right? Let me get this out of the way. Article number 6 is nomination of guardian. So if you're sitting down with somebody and they're the guardian of anybody under the age of 18, they need to nominate someone to take care of that kid, right? This is a very serious subject with a lot of people. You might not run into it very often. You might run into it to where the grandmother has custody of the grandkid because the parent's in prison or something like that, right? Now, if that's the case, if they're under the age of 18, and let's say Joe has a kid and he's 13 years old, and Joe passes away and doesn't name anybody the guardian of the kid. Well, guess what's going to happen to that kid? Right into Child Protective Services, right? Right in there. And the family could fight this. The family could go to court and fight this and say, hey, I'm his uncle. I want custody of the kid. Well, guess what the judge is going to say? I don't know yet you're the uncle. I don't know you from Sam down the street. I'm not just going to give you custody of the kid, right? And when a kid's in Child Protective Services, he's not in there for a week or 2 weeks. It's months. It's not that system is not quick, right? And you got to think too, if there's multiple kids, they can be split up. They try hard to get the kids in the same group home. It doesn't happen every time, So what I'm really telling our members to do at this point is if you do have somebody under 18, nominate a guardian and nominate a backup. It's just going to help your family out. All right. Same with pets. Next thing down is pet guardian. Most people think of pets as their kids. Like I have a dog. So my son, been with me for 12 years now. Like I spent $2,000 over the last month and a half and medical bills on him. I don't even spend $2,000 on my medical bills. Right. But that's like my son. And if anything happened to me, I would want to make sure he went to one of my family members or my friends, as opposed to going back into the animal shelter or the pound. Because typically what happens with older dogs when they go there? Done. All right. So, and most people think of pets as their family. Like you're going to run into crazy cat ladies who got 12 cats. Those are all our kids, right? I used to hate that going into sits. That was like the only thing I used to hate is when people I'm allergic to cats, like highly allergic. So when I get into a house with cats, my eyes swell up. I can't see, I can't breathe. So I always tell people, like, you got a lot of cats, like put them in a room or let me know off the bat, please. But just nominating the pet guardian so that they don't go to the shelter. And you can even nominate an amount. The executor shall give this amount every single month to the person taking care of the dog, right? So any questions so far on anything we went over? It's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty easy. Article number 8 is the powers of the executors, what they can do. So I have them read article number 8 and article 8, number 8 and number 9. I just say some legal jargon. Make sure you read through it before you nominate your executor. All right. Article number 10 is special directives. So what they want done after death, where they want their funeral held at, whether they want to be cremated or buried, what kind of casket they want, what kind of clothing they want to wear, guest list, flowers, right? Anything could go under special directives. What I tell my members here, I say, hey, now you mentioned you had life insurance through this company. Make sure you put that down here at the bottom as well. Make sure they list their life insurance there. So if you forget to ask if they had life insurance, you can ask it right here too. Okay. And then article number 11, some more miscellaneous provisions to look into. Tell them to read through those. The next page is where they're going to get this notarized at. Right. So top is where you're going to put the person's name, whose will it is, test their signature, printed name, and they need 2 witnesses. Right? They need to get this notarized, and they need 2 witnesses to be there as well. Make this easy on your members. If they know a public notary, great, go to that person. If they don't, tell them they can go to the bank. Banks have a public notary on hand. They have to. Right? They notarize stuff every single day. Right? Yes, I can only imagine, to be honest. But the best way to do this, you can, number one here, figure out if they have a bank too. So you could say, now who do you guys bank with? Bank with Chase. Okay. Now I know Chase has a public notary on hand. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this will into Chase and you're going to ask them to notarize it for you. So what they're going to do is they're going to grab 2 bank tellers as witnesses and have them sign it too. So now you have your witnesses and your notary in the same location. And typically with your bank, they might even do it for free. They might even notarize it for $1. It ain't going to cost much money to do it there. Right?
Yeah, I don't think they can charge for notaries anymore.
There you go. Free. I'm glad you're here, man. Now I can get some more information on it. So that's the best way to do it. Take it to the bank. It's the easiest way to do it. Right? And I even like kind of egg them on a little bit. I was like, I use PNC for my bank. Who do you guys bank with? And they're like, oh, we use Chase. Chase. Okay, perfect. I know Chase has a public notary on hand. Take it there and get it notarized. Now they're going to get a question like, can my friend notarize this, or can my brother notarize this? No, they cannot. Nobody in your immediate family or nobody that has any repercussion to this will can notarize it or be a witness. Family members cannot be witnesses. There needs to be somebody like a neighbor or the mailman or bank tellers. Like it should not be anybody that's in your family. Okay.
Yeah, and you have to let them know that the witnesses have to sign on site.
Correct. Yes, that's 100. Very, 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 very good point there. That's why I tell them to go to the bank, because they'll do it right then and there. The witnesses have to be there with the notary so that all 3 people can sign it at one time. Right? It's the only legal way to do it. Well, 4 people technically, but yes. And that's the end of the actual will itself. So the will is this kit is also a living will. Right? So do you guys know the difference between a will and a living will? Right? A will takes place once that person dies. That's what's going to go on afterwards. A living will kicks in if that person is mentally and physically incapacitated, has an end state condition, a terminal condition, or is a persistent vegetative state, meaning they're not able to think or act for themselves. Right?
If I'm a notary in the state of Wisconsin, can I notarize shit in Illinois?
I do not know the answer to that question. Probably not, though, just to be honest. Probably have to get another state notary in Illinois. I do not know the answer to that question. Sorry. But
But if you're doing virtual, you're going to be doing the virtual from Wisconsin.
Yeah, but no virtual is notarized.
yeah, you need to be there. But the next part down is actually where the living will kicks in. Once again, you can see where their name's at. And then the living will, they're going to put the first part is when they signed it and they dated it at. The next part down says A, lifelong procedures. So they'll put their initials there and it says, I choose though that if any time that I am both mentally and physically incapacitated or have any of the other things written in red here, right, that this is going to happen. B, nutrition and hydration. If they want to be on a feeding tube or breathing machine, right? They're going to initial yes, I prefer, or no, I do not. Pregnancy, few and far between. You might see it. Just let them know to read through that. And then D, other requests are things like if they want to be on life support, or if they don't want to be resuscitated, or if because of my religion I cannot receive blood transfusions, things like that. Okay. In the actual workbook, there's a big list of examples of things that they can put in there. Right. So, like I said, most of them are for like, based on my religious beliefs, I did not receive blood transfusions. Okay, certain types of treatment, chemotherapy, CPR, that type of stuff. All that can be listed on there. So what they want done in that situation. The next page over is where they're going to designate the surrogate. So who's in charge of the decisions for this? If you go into this state, who's going to be in charge of that? You put that surrogate's name up here. Oh, sorry. Put the surrogate's name on the top here, the address, phone number, and relationship. Now, B and C here are the limitations for their services. So what they can't do, right? So if you're telling them, hey, I want you to keep me on breathing tubes for as long as I'm alive, you cannot pull the plug. You cannot move me from one hospital to another, right? There's like a big list of, again, of things that they can and can't do on there. And it'll give them good examples in the workbook, okay? Then D is where they need to name 2 alternate surrogates. So now it's not good enough to have one surrogate, they need to have 2 alternates, okay? And then the last page is, again, notarize 2 witnesses. Banks make it easiest, right there. Notarize with 2 witnesses right here, all right? Question?
So what if they have like, say it's like somebody foreign, right? Like they even not beneficiary, but like for all the other stuff, they want to add people, but they don't live here. Is that fine? Like how would they be notified and stuff? Say like if my cousins are in Canada, right? And I put them down as like contingent, so I don't have family here, or something like that. Like how would that work? Basically,
There's phone numbers.
for them to reach out to them and stuff, would they physically have to be here?
Yeah, if they,
Have to sign everything?
correct. If they wanted to like get access to the will, they would have to physically be in the United States. Yes, 100%. Yep. But a lot of this stuff can be taken care of virtually in DocuSign nowadays. That helps a lot of people. They can sign and you know, figure things out virtually.
Like notarized too?
No, notary public still has to be in person because they have a stamp. And that's the main thing, is that stamp. They need to see that seal. Some seals are pretty cool too. My brother has a pretty cool one for his land grants. I don't know if you can customize it, or if it's just the way that he has it for his company, but I've seen a bunch of different seals.
Yeah, I think there's like options, like more expensive options you can do.
Yeah. Most of them are just pretty basic though. But that's the will kit. You know, I'll say now that's your will kit, guys. Do you have any questions about it at all? All right. And if they have questions, I'll answer them. Usually they're like, you know, the one question you're going to get sometimes is like, what do I do with this once I complete it? Once I get it notarized, what do I do with it? All right. What you're going to do with it once you get it notarized is you're going to make 4 copies. I want them to make at least 4 copies. They keep a copy with them at their house, like a lockbox or something. They give a copy to their executor. They give a copy to their healthcare provider, and they give a copy to their lawyer or law team or their attorneys, so that 4 people have access to the same information. So if one person loses it, they still have it, right? So that's usually the biggest question you're going to ask, and that's what I tell them at the end every single time. Make sure you make 4 copies of this, all right? But do you guys have any other questions on the will? No? Zach, anything for me?
Nope, I'm good. Thanks.
All right, cool. So, I mean, that's basically all the no-cost benefits. The last no-cost benefit is the needs analysis, right? And we'll walk them through that after we explain term and whole and after we explain that we're the expert, you know? But everything up until that point, this should be very informative to them. You know, you should be walking them through every single one of them. And to be honest, you should be done with rapport and all the no-cost benefits about 20 to 25 minutes into the presentation. You get through it that quick, you know you're in a good presentation. Now, That's not every time. People have questions. Answer their questions. That's what you're there for.
Yeah.
You know? And don't be afraid to say, oh, I don't know the answer to that right now. Give me a couple seconds and I can find that for you. Don't be afraid to say that. Don't bullshit people. You know, if you know the answer, tell them. If you don't know the answer, say, hey, I don't know that right now. Give me a couple minutes and I'll find that answer out for you. All right? Call them back. They'll appreciate that. You know? So if you guys don't have any, I mean, do you have any questions about anything? Like I have an open, there's like 7-8 minutes. Any questions from me about the business at all? Anything like that at all?
So that's for the will kit referrals. So you would start with, obviously, you know, we are why we're here, go into intro and do the discount. Would you do the discount right away, or would you do the will kit and then the discount card?
I usually do,
Then, like,
I usually do the discount and then will kit.
will kit and then like,
And then you can ask them for referrals right here too. Right at the end of that will kit, say, hey, you know, this program is very new, and as a way to, you know, get out into the community and to help everybody in the community, they're allowing you to sponsor up to 5 people to receive will kits for free as well. So who's one person you maybe know that might be looking into a will? Like I would never, like, always ask for referrals for the will kit. People see value in it and they'll refer other people. Like we sold a guy who was a referral of a will kit, right? We went 2 referrals deep to get him, but we still sold him. He needed the coverage. He was actually a blind guy. So Lita did the whole presentation just talking to him the whole time. He didn't see anything, which is even more amazing. She sold a guy just based off of picture that she painted for him in his head. You know, if you could do that, you could sell anybody. You know? But if you guys don't have any other questions, I'll let you guys head out here a little bit early. You know, I appreciate you hanging out with me today. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit. Zach, I'm gonna throw my number here in the chat. That way you can have it if you call me, if you have any questions or anything like that. Yes. Can you, the next question I was gonna ask here is, why can't I put anything in this chat? I was gonna ask, because it's down here. Oh, come on. It won't work for some reason.
Down there, down under everyone.
Oh, okay. I'm so stupid.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. So I need, and then Zach, can you put your email in the chat so I can email you the PDF?
Yes, sir.
And then give me a sec, guys. I'll write yours down and I'll send it over.
you want us to just text it to you so that we have our number?
Yeah, that's cool too. Yeah. Yeah, that'll work even better. Appreciate that. Yeah, and I'll send them out. I'll send them out tonight. I have some stuff I got to do right now, but will send them out during call night for you guys. Okay.
What's the number?
412-841-9256. Got it, Zach.
All right, cool. Hey man, you know what? Like I've heard people explain these probably dozens of times at this point, and I'm not trying to stroke your ego, but like your child safe and how you went through all that. I've heard there's a lot of new things that I heard that from you that I haven't heard before. So I really appreciate the thoroughness of your explanation.
No problem, man. That's why I'm here. It's why I'm doing this part of the presentation and other people are doing other parts of the presentation. You know, it's just something I excel in. One of the main reasons why I think that I do so well in it is because I didn't have an option to not be good at it. Because you were in Arius, Zach, you know, the leads there aren't the greatest. You got to work your leads, you know? And I did a lot of child safe. So I got really good at the child safe program. I got really good at collecting referrals from it. Like when I got shipped out to Philly, they gave me 200 child safe leads that were 2 years old. That's what they gave. Like, here you go, have fun. And I had to work those leads for a month and a half, 2 months to get production off. Still wrote 8K, you know, still don't have any issues writing business. I just had to work a little bit harder. That's all. But once I got those referrals down, I started building good referral chains. And then there was a point when I was in Philly from like August of 18 to like November of 18, where I didn't use a company lead. Didn't use one company lead. All I did was write referrals all day. That's the best part. Like if you can get on strictly referrals, that's the way to go. You don't have to use any company resources. But I appreciate you saying that, Zach. And it just comes from doing it over and over and over and over and over again. And I would say the best way to learn something is to have to teach it to somebody. You learn it at a different level. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
So, but yeah, man, like you have my phone number. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate. Shoot me a call, Zach.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Thank you.
No problem, man. No problem. But yeah, you guys, yeah, let's rock some phones tonight and get some stuff set up for this weekend. And you guys, you can practice all this with your clients.
Sounds good.
All right, Zach. I'll see you, man.
Yes, sir. Take it easy.
All right, Ivan. Marique, see you guys.